YouTube? It's Sam here with Gummy Bear Transport. I'm just here to give y'all a video on Hirschbach, my thoughts, and my opinion, the good and the terrible about them. I was going to do a pros and cons list, but then I just realized there was no pros. It was more what was kind of good about them, and then what was terrible about them. So here we go. The good things about them was the factor of the truck specs, the setup, the speed, the how they set up the trucks, and all of that kind of stuff. The trucks were nice on the inside. You had everything you needed for what you were doing to be able to be out there and comfortably live out there. Basically, if you were one of those drivers, does OTR, lives out in his truck, never goes home, and stuff like that. That's basically how it's set up. Because as a lease purchase driver, if you go home, your money's gone, and that's understandable. But at the same time, we'll get into the terrible stuff later. The aspect of why, even with that stuff, and how you, in all honesty, you weren't making money. You couldn't make that good of money no matter what you ran, because the whole time I was there, I was running like 3,200 to 3,300 a week miles. I think my lowest one was 3,100 miles, the lowest week. And so, I mean, there was some things about it that you should have been making decent money if they had been paying right, and if you were able to get your bonuses, which honestly, you'd be able to get your bonuses if it weren't for the planners not knowing how to plan their loads and not knowing what they're doing. Inexperience, lack of knowledge, not knowing what they're doing, big issues. But look, that's a big thing with the way they were. The planners were a big issue with certain things. So mileage, you could get all the miles you wanted. You could get lots of miles. So the miles, not getting miles was not so much a complaint. That was a good thing. We got the miles easy. No. My only complaint with it, there was no time to stop because loads are all behind. Anyhow, we're still in the good sets. So we'll try to keep focus on the good part. So the final thing is how they handled the shop time. If you went to the shop, they got you into a hotel, they covered the hotel, they paid you breakdown pay and all that kind of stuff, even as a lease driver. So I mean, I had 1 week where I was broke down. First week I started, that I got the truck. The week I got my first truck, it broke down me after the first 300 miles. Was in the shop that time. Let's see, 2 days, then 2 more. Then it came out of the shop. Was waiting on load, so I did my 10-hour while I was waiting on load because I hadn't gotten a load yet, because it was, I believe that came out of the shop Sunday that time. Monday, we went to pick up a trailer, empty trailer, so that we could go pick up the load. We were headed over to wash out the trailer. As I pull into the trailer washout place, I hear snap. Anyhow, the leaf spring snapped. Actually, the leaf spring was already snapped. The only thing that snapped was the mount. And then after that, it went in the shop for 2 or 3 days. And then, with something like 2 or 3 days, something like that. When it came out, I went to sleep that night. Woke up the next morning to it. The truck was full of carbon monoxide. I don't know how I woke up. I must have woke up just in time before it took me out. But anyhow, it went back in the shop. They sent me down to get another truck. So we went into International. Still a great truck because it actually was the best setup on the inside. It had a nice big 4-foot tall refrigerator / freezer in it and everything. It was a nice truck, really nice truck. Anyhow, so they handled the shop time and stuff like that really good. So that's where that right there, their trucks specs and setup, mileage, and shop time handling is good. Now we're moving on to terrible. Terrible is the pay / lack of payment, them not paying out certain loads, just completely forgetting they owed you those loads, whatever. they did. I don't know what they were doing. I think most of what it comes down to, in honesty, from looking at it now that I'm out of it, was more lack of experience. Most of the people not knowing what they're doing, not being well trained, just piss poor management of the company, not making sure their people were all trained and that they knew what they were doing, and making sure that they knew their job quite well. And that continues into even with the planner scheduling, the way the planners schedule the loads and all of that. Planners scheduling the loads, schedule loads terrible. They don't reschedule stuff when they see, oh, we're going to give a driver this load, it's already 2 days late. Are we going to change the date for it to deliver? Oh no, we're going to put it on them, not change it, expect them to still make it there on time. Now, here's where the thing comes in. My big issue. No, my DM tried to make it look like I was trying to say that they had some kind of conspiracy going on there. No, I just think it's piss poor management, piss poor training. They didn't know what they're doing. They weren't trained well enough to know what they're doing. So that moves into the factor of it, all of that. Bad scheduling and all of that was on the factor that they weren't trained well, didn't know what they're doing. Because of the factor of scheduling, okay, I want to make sure I'm kind of going. Okay, so then it goes on to like the recruiters make up lots of stories that make it sound like you can make this, that, and the other. You can make this, that, and the other. You really ain't going to make what they say. The numbers they say are going to be almost double what you're going to make, because you're going to be trying to keep those loads on schedule. Now, if you go too fast, do it. Now that you're going to lose your bonus. Now, but if you don't get it there on time, at the same time, you're going to lose your bonus because you didn't get it there on time. So I mean, speeding, yes, I agree, is bad, but in order to make their loads, the only way to get them there on time and not get hit with a late fee or something like that, and other things like that they will hit you with as the driver, moves into, if they would schedule it right, you would be able to follow all the speed limits and get there on time. Thus you would get your bonus. But because they can't schedule stuff right, and they don't like rescheduling nothing, they definitely will not reschedule anything. They may, but you're going to have to push and fight to get them to do anything for you. But the second they call you, they expect you to suddenly answer, but they never answer for you. They never do anything for you, but they want you to do whatever they want you to do, and they want you to just... No, that's not how this works. This has to be a two-way street. You want me to do stuff for you, you got to do stuff for me. Going into this goes and ties me into the next thing, that micromanagement. They micromanage everything. They're always calling you, always bugging you. Can't leave you alone. Can't let you just do your job. Can't let you, the driver, do your job that you've been doing forever, that you know what you're doing, and can't trust you to know what you're doing. And all of this, it moves on into all of that. I mean, all of it kind of ties together. They want to micromanage you, but they don't want it. But anytime you need something from them, they aren't there for you. They don't do anything. They suddenly try to come in and be like, oh, you did this wrong, you did this. No, I didn't do any of that wrong. What happened was y'all scheduled it wrong. And that's why I got there late. Was because by the time you gave me the load, it was already 2 days late to be picked up. This is something that even the shippers can confirm. When I was there, I went to enough of the shippers. All the shippers like, well, the few times I wasn't 2 days late, they're like, well, we're happy that you're even here today, because usually these loads are 2 days late plus, and them even getting the load to the drivers. So I mean, it's not something that isn't well known. And then also you talk to other drivers around, they say that most other drivers from other companies don't like Hirschbach drivers because they're assholes. Oh, why are they assholes? Because they're having to rush all the time, rush, because of the fact that the planners can't plan their loads right, so they're having to rush all the time if they ever want even the slightest chance of getting that load there on time. They have to rush, and it kind of makes you look like an asshole because you're rushing around and all of that. You're not really, and you're stressed out 100% of the time. You're ridiculously stressed out. There is no not being stressed out. You try not to. You do your best. But here's the thing: you don't until you figure out, hey, it's going to get there when it gets there, and it's not my mistake. It's on them. And if they want to mark it on me, that's on them too. I don't care. You have to get to the point where you just don't care. At least as far as what they do, what they say, what they mark against you. You have to get to the point where you don't care, because otherwise you're going to be so stressed out you are going to make a mistake. Something's going to happen. I had something happen because of that. But once I figured out, hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not going to let them stress me out. My life's more important than some little them stressing me out over stuff that's not my fault, over stuff I can't control. Once I got to that point, things turned out. As far as nothing going bad after that point. After that point, nothing other than obviously the pay was bad. The pay was bad the whole time I was there, but it was terrible. I averaged between $1,100 to $1,300 a week as a lease operator, running about 3,100 to 3,300 miles a week. Now, if you do the math, just in case my dispatcher does watch, in case you do the math, 40% of that is tax money. That brings you down to about $800 to $900 a week, which is CR England pay. Actually, CR England's pay is generally actually even higher than that. So, they're below the lowest of the company's pays. So, it's not worth it at all. They're not a company to go to. Do not go there. Do not. I cannot stress enough. Do not go to Hirschbach. They will screw you over. So the next point. Actually, I already brought in the next point about the due to the scheduling, you don't get your bonus because you have to push faster. You have to do certain things that make you lose your bonus, or you lose your bonus if you get late loads there late all the time. So either way, you're not getting your bonus. That's supposed to bring it up to 50 cents a mile extra on top of on top of your regular $1 to $1.55, I believe it is, depending on the length of load. Moving on into the locations that they send you to, they send you into a lot of residential neighborhoods, because a lot of the deliveries are right in the middle of residential neighborhoods. One in particular, they have one in Minnesota that's terrible. That place is dead in the middle of a residential neighborhood. No matter what you do, there's no way of getting through the residential neighborhood to get to it, because it's dead in the middle of the residential neighborhood. To get to the docks, you're in the middle of the residential neighborhood, right there where you have to back into the docks. So a lot of their places that they go to are residential neighborhoods, areas that trucks should never be, especially trucks with sleepers and 53-foot trailers. You should never have those in there. And long wheelbase, all that combined, you should never have those trucks in those locations. A lot of locations that they have are residential neighborhood locations. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Moving on into my final part, and then at the end they're going to tell you, they're going to try to, when you're leaving, they're going to try to say this, that, and the other, try to put it back, the blame back on you, so that they can try to cover their ass, even though the whole time you're running up until you started getting annoyed at him. He kept saying one thing. Like with me, when I was running for him, he was like, "You're one of my top runners. You're one of my best runners." Yada yada yada. Now when I try to go to leave, he suddenly changed his thing. "Oh, you weren't one of my hardest runners. Yada yada. Whatever. Okay, whatever. You can keep saying whatever you want to say, trying to cover your ass. I know, but you told me this certain stuff in the beginning. Now you want to say this other. Keep changing your story. You're not covering your ass because everything you said was on a recorded line. So trust me, all of that stuff can and would be pulled up if somebody were to make any other move to push against that. But even so, yes, my rating for this company would be a 3 out of 10. Terrible company. Never go. Do not ever go there. End of story. Peace.